The Marlins drop game 1 in Arizona. It is time for the first episode with Takes Were Made. It's all on today's Locked On Marlins.
You are Locked On Marlins, your daily podcast on the Miami Marlins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Greetings from England and welcome to Locked On Marlins. This, of course, is your daily Marlins podcast. I'm your host, Peter Pratt. Hit me up on Twitter, of course, at Miami Marlins _UK. If you're listening to the pod, hit subscribe, leave a review. There's tons of them on Spotify in particular. Thank you to the everydayers, too, for tuning in every single day. There is a YouTube channel. Head over to there. Hit subscribe also. You will see this is a UK-friendly recording slot. There is sun on my face. There is sun on Takes' face as well. Takes, how we doing, brother?
I'm doing well, Pete. Thank you for having me.
It's been a long time coming, I'd say. I mean, I like to, let the season start to breathe a touch. I like, we spoke in the off season. We were feeling a touch underwhelmed, perhaps, whichever off season it could have been, you can just change the years, interchange the years. It doesn't matter. But we need to let the season breathe, get into it, get over 30 games and see what we're working with, brother. So it felt right to get you in the house. We've also got some scouting reports as well from the game, some eyeballs on the game last night in Arizona, so we'll get to them later on. But overall, mate, the Marlins sitting 2 games below 500 at this point, but they've had some tough games. They've lost a few to the NL East foes, but I feel like they fared pretty well outside of the division. Overall assessment thus far on the Marlins before we get into some of the noteworthy players thus far.
The Marlins as a whole, it's pretty par for what I expected so far. Lackluster offense. The starting rotation and Sandy's struggles have kind of thrown off everything for me because I can't get an accurate gauge on what this team is until the starting rotation is what it's supposed to be, right? Like Luzardo has shown some struggles. Edward Cabrera, he starts, the last couple starts, he's shown to be better, but then he falls off towards the end of the starts. Once that rotation is nice, and if it ever does get there, right? We hope it does. If it gets back to that, the horse part of the rotation where they're just going out there every game and giving 6, 7 quality innings, 2 runs, then we can start to accurately assess this team. But for now, I mean, it's kind of like what you said. They're just hanging in there, it seems like. Every time the Braves come to town, it's a very, very humbling experience.
It is.
And also the Mets, thankfully, we don't have to see either of them for a very long time. But so far, I think that their record is an accurate representation of what they've shown. Very average. Their ceiling isn't very high. Their floor isn't extremely low, I feel like. But 16 and 18 is or 17 and 19, I think their record is right now. It's pretty accurate for what I've seen with these 2 eyes.
Yeah, it feels almost in some people's books that they've actually been lucky. They're lucky to be in this spot. I mean, 11-0 in 1-run games made. The Pythag for all those Pythag guys out there. I mean, you know me, I'm not a Pythag guy. I mean, I don't even know what Pythag is. But those guys are saying that the Marlins are way overperforming what they should be doing. The run diff is absolutely in the bin. Some would look at this and think, actually, the Marlins are outperforming what they should be doing. And they're lucky to be 2 games under 500. Do your eyeballs tell you that as well? Or is that just the numbers being the numbers?
I've seen it almost every single game. And I've seen all these 1-run games. And it's true, right? 1-run games, that's not how you build a team. You don't walk into an offseason and say, I want to build the best team that'll win every game by 1 run. If you're doing that, you should lose your job. If that's what you're doing, which, now what they're really doing is, hey, let's build an offense that gets on base a lot, not a ton of power, and let's let our pitching do a bulk of the work. That's what they did, right? And in a lot of those 1-run games, that's kind of what we've seen unfold. Not the Cubs game that just happened where we won on a balk, but the other games, it's Luis Arias comes through with his fucking 8 billion hits that he has on the season, and then eventually someone drives him in. Jorge Soler has had some big hits. And then they've done the bullpen, they've built a pretty damn good bullpen. But as bullpens tend to happen, you're never going to have a guy that goes a whole year with a 0.00 ERA. The bullpen will fold eventually. We saw it happen to Flora. We've seen it happen to Puck recently. And that's where your luck will start to turn, you know. So I get it. The narrative of the 11-0. I think I saw it today on Instagram. It's like they're 11-0 in one-run games and 6-18, I think, or 6-19 in every other game. So like that's not sustainable, and I get that part. But when I say that their floor isn't too low, it's because of that same thing, right? Like their floor isn't too high because they're banking on one-run games, but their floor isn't too low because they're going to be in a lot of games because of that same thing. So it's one of those, it feels like every Marlins year I say this, but it's like a race to the trade deadline. Can we be competitive by the trade deadline and go for the big bat, right? It's that big bat. Every time I say big bat, I want to bash my skull in because at first it was Ketel Marte and he's gone. It was Byron Buxton, now he's gone. It was Brian Reynolds, now he's gone. It's Cedric Mullin, now he's gone. And it's like, well, let's go. And now you already see it's kind of like how animals can sense the weather changing. Like you're starting to see the inklings of the White Sox, the Cardinals, are they going to blow it up? Tyler O'Neill, Luis Robert, and we're starting already to dip our toes into the water of that. So let's see how it goes.
I mean, the other name that I think is going to flicker a ton, and this maybe sums it up, really. We can talk about these names because we always talk about like the sexy names, but unfortunately the Marlins never ever land the sexy names.
Never.
So let me just tell you the guy that we likely do land, and it's CJ Crone, baby. Let's get the Crone zone going. Let's get everyone pumped for CJ Crone because that is your bat, brother. That's no doubt. Speaking about big sticks, well, a stick that I think has come up a touch small thus far. And there's a lot of talk about him right now. I had a scouting report texted me overnight from our good man, Alex Ferrer. He was in the ballpark. He texted me to say, Jean Segura is the worst hitter that he's ever seen his own eyeballs live. That a lot of pressure on Mean Gene. He was signed, and felt like a decent signing and fit the profile for what the Marlins wanted to do with the offense. But boy, oh boy, it has been putrid to start for Mean Gene. He did a post-game presser yesterday, and he sounded suicidal, to be honest, mate. It was like he was fully deflated. Is this the Marlins free agent curse again, where good hitters, tons of track record, they roll into Miami, next thing is everything's sapped? What's happened to Mean Gene?
I'm not. There's guys on Marlins Twitter, like Seven Toe and a lot of other really smart people that are good at looking at like underlying numbers on like FanGraphs and stuff, like ground ball rates, line drive rates, all these different numbers and shit like that. And I'm not good at it, right? I'm not good at it. My favorite thing to look at is like FWAR and WRC and like OPS. And when you look at Jean Segura's, nothing was going to tell you that he was going to be the worst hitter in Major League Baseball this year. Like nothing pointed towards that. No. Right? Like nothing told you this drop off was going to happen.
No.
And at the time, I was so over the Brian Anderson thing that when they signed Jean Segura, I was like, you know what? Perfect. Veteran guy, playoff experience, doesn't strike out a ton. Every year, his OPS is in like the mid 700s, low 700s. He's not going to light up the world with home runs and power, but he's going to be a veteran presence who's going to hit the ball well, 270, 280, play solid defense, and that's what you want.
Yeah.
And he has been a disaster. Garbage. Literally one of the worst hitters in baseball. And again, you bring up the curse of the Marlins, and it's like, I just don't. I mean, it's what happens when you're a team that looks for cheaper players, for cheaper options. You are bound to swing and miss on players. Like, you can't be too shocked. Right? Like, is Jean Segura the best third baseman in the league? No. And you knew that getting him. And you were banking on his previous, the guy's like 75 years old, and he's been in the league doing it for this whole time, and he's just been a good 270 hitter with a 720, 730 OPS, and that's what you wanted, and that's not what you're getting.
No.
And I wish I was smarter. I wish I could look at the film, see the hitches in his swing, or see what the ground ball rates are and why this is happening to Gene. And I wish I could snap my fingers and fix it. And I'm sure that the hitting coaches and Skip Schumacher wish they could do the same, right? Because that's what we're having the same conversation right now about Segura that we had about Avisario Garcia. And it's like, there's no fix. They're just bad baseball players now. It's just what happens. You can't say it's a curse necessarily because Jorge Soler's having a pretty decent year.
Yeah.
You know, like he's mashing the ball. You know, they brought in Adam Duvall, who they traded for like a minor league catcher who let's not even talk about that.
No, let's not go there.
Duvall did kind of like what you expected him to do, right?
Definitely.
Mashed a lot of home runs. He played pretty damn good defense, and
Yep.
you know, so that one worked out. But it's just something about like they can't afford. If there was ever a team in baseball that can't afford to just fall flat on their face with signings this badly, it's the Marlins. And Segura and Avisario Garcia have done that. Like, it's not Pete like Anthony Rendon and the Angels where he's OPSing 720. You're talking about a guy who's OPSing in the 400s. That is really, really, really bad. Like, you don't have to like know numbers to see it. You watch him and you see it. The guy's grounded into 57 double plays this year. Like, he is actively hurting the Marlins. So like, it's bad. It's really, really bad. He's been garbage.
Yeah, I think Alex Ferrer's scouting report was on the money, to be honest. So, you know, I wanted to ask you as well about because we saw, you know, obviously we get the game yesterday, Zach Gallen going. And every time Zach Gallen pitches against the Marlins, we've got the obvious connection and the trade and the guy we have. So we're going to talk about that after the first ad. The only ad, actually. The only live ad, anyway. And it's time to let you know about our good friends over at FanDuel. And listen, it is NBA playoff season, guys. The Heat are absolutely en fuego right now. And FanDuel absolutely have you covered. And particularly if you haven't bet with FanDuel before, particularly this one is for you. You get a no sweat first bet up to $1,000. Stunning. It's $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Pretty simple. What does that mean? I don't know. Go and load up $1,000 on the Heat. Taking it all. Why not? It's Jimmy Butler Day. Sipping on wine. Love to see that. There's no better place to bet all the playoff action than America's #1 sportsbook. All you got to do is visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and get a no sweat first bet up to $1,000. Reminder, that's FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right. Absolutely love that Jimmy Butler clip, by the way. And you know I'm not a big basketball guy. I'm not a Heat guy. Oh, no, I am a Heat guy, but I'm not a big basketball fan. But I love Jimmy Butler. I mean, that clip, sipping red wine, that is just stunning.
He's one of the most perfect players in terms of like social media memes that you can ever think of. Really? Like I can just pull up hundreds of Jimmy Butler funny faces and GIFs and stuff like that. Like he provides so much content. I love him.
Speaking of a guy that hasn't delivered any content because he's been on a Twitter ban because his missus has said he has to stop tweeting for a period, it's Jazz Chisholm Jr. And Zach Gallen going yesterday. Zach Gallen, an absolute stud, no doubt about it. A year ago, I think we all thought slam dunk win this for the Fish. It's mainly because Zach Gallen was hurt. Then Zach Gallen has come back and he's been a stud. But let's look at Jazz though, mate. It's, you know, I mean, again, Alex Ferrer going off on a Twitter rant today, defending Jazz, it feels like in some ways, where it feels like some people want him to fail. I don't know. There's like two camps of want him to fail, another camp that are overexcited about anything he does, and then there's kind of people in the middle. Where do you sit on Jazz at the moment? It's been a weird start for him this year. He's obviously had to transition out of center field, and I think you see back cap the Jazz say he's taken that for the team and he's actually excelled.
Yeah.
But are we starting to see the impact of that at the plate? Or is it something wider than that? I don't know. Where's your head at with Jazz?
Let me start by saying I love Jazz.
Me too.
I love Jazz. He is the ideal like savior of the Marlins in terms of the personality and putting us back on the map as like a good baseball team. Like people won't like, I get it. There are a lot of people out there who's like, just win, just play good. And it's true. Obviously, that matters, and that's what we're going to get into, and I'll talk about that. But the personality and the being beloved by fans and being polarizing, where everyone has such like extreme takes on him, that matters too. It does matter, and I know a lot of people don't care about it, but it does matter. Especially when you're someone like me that's just like a Twitter troll and loves like content. But like he gives us something to love, something to hate, something to talk about, and that matters. Now the production. If I told you before the season started, when Craig Mish originally tweeted that he's going to be playing center field, he's going to be like a top 10 defensive center fielder, but his offense is going to suck, everyone would have been like, you're crazy, dude. Like, that's not the way that works. He's going to suck in defense and probably hit like 40 home runs. And that's not the way it's played out. Like, he's really, really, really been really good in center field. Like, I'm very, very surprised. I did not think he was going to work out there. And I was wrong. Like, he's been excellent. I think he's like 94th percentile in outfield jump and defense and all these things. And he's been great. Yeah. And he deserves a lot of credit for that, because that's not an easy position to adjust to. We've seen JT Riddle and Brian Anderson almost like concuss themselves out there. Like, we know it's not easy, and he's done very well. Offensively, he's been bad. He's been very, very, very bad. He's striking out at 35%. His OPS is like in the 630, 636 or something like that. That's not what you want, right? And as far as the two camps on like Twitter go about him, there are people out there, no matter how you look at it, and some of them won't want to admit it, that are like, whenever he fails, they kind of perk up a little and they're like, let me run to Twitter and be like, hey, Jazz, you tweeted this and this and this. Yeah. And I not like me and Alex, for the most part, we agree on this. Like, I think Jazz is someone that we should support, and we want him to be good, because he is our Ronald Acuna. That's what the standard we want him to be, right? As much as I hate Ronald Acuna, we want Jazz to be our Ronald Acuna. We want other teams to hate him, and we want to love him. We want him to OPS 900 and be an MVP candidate, because we know he can be that. That's what he showed last year before he got hurt. He had an 872 OPS, and he was playing really good defense at second. So he's shown it. And he believes it too. Yep. The pinned tweet on his profile says 9 wins above replacement. You don't just say that without backing it up. And I think that's where a lot of the criticism come from. And me too. Look, I've slandered Jazz a little bit on Twitter, because I don't hold back on anyone. You know, I've called Avisario Garcia terrorists. Like, I won't, like, I'm not here to like hold back, but I have a soft spot for Jazz. So even when I do like call out his bad play, it hurts, because I need him to be good. I've invested so much of him in my mind on Jazz being our savior offensively, right? Like, we've wanted that Sandy Alcantara type prospect on offense, and he is supposed to be that guy.
Yeah.
So it's a weird thing where if you're out there just like every time he strikes out, like just jumping off your seat and be like, oh, I can't wait to tweet about this, you're a loser. Stop doing that. You know, like, but I'm also going to call him out, because he has been bad with the bat, and that's where we need him to improve. Yeah. What frustrates me is that it looks like, again, Pete, how many times are you going to repeat it? I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I don't break down film. I'm not a hitting coach. I know what I see. I played baseball my entire life, and that's about it. Like, I am as much of a meatball fan as you can get, like be. It looks like he's made no adjustments at the plate. You know, I don't know. Maybe someone can tell me I'm right. Someone can tell me I'm wrong. But like, the 2-strike swing on 0-2 against the future Cy Young Award winner Zach Gallen is the same swing he puts up 3-0. You know, there is no like, you know what, let me square up a bit here. Let me think, okay, maybe slider outside. Let me look for this. Let me try and go the other way. There's none of that. Yep. It's just, I'm going to go up there, I'm going to swing, and I'm going to get a hold of it, or I'm not. You know what I mean? And that's what the numbers show. You know, a 35% strikeout rate doesn't just come from, like, there hasn't been, from my perspective, a conscious effort to make a change at the plate. And that's where it's like frustrating, because I know that if with his speed and power, he can afford, usually a power hitter, you don't want him like choking up on the bat and trying to poke one over third base, because like, no, bro, just smash home runs. Like Jorge Soler, go ahead, strike out 30% of the time, because every once in a while you get a hold of one and it's awesome to see. But Jazz has that speed where it's like, dude, poke one over the third baseman and that can turn into a triple. Yep. And you can tell he knows that too, because he squares up for bunts random as hell.
He does.
He knows that, right? So he knows there's a change to be made, and I'm not a coach, so I can't tell him how to make it. And I'm sure that those coaches in there are trying to work with him, and it's not an easy thing to make in the middle of the season, you know. But last year he started the season out on fire, and this year teams have made the adjustment pitching to him. Now, if you're a star, if you are a 9-win player, like you want to be, a Gold Glove center field, like you're playing like it, it's time for you, Jazz Chisholm Jr., the star of the Miami Marlins, to make the change to adjust to what they're doing. That's what stars do. You know, Barry Bonds it's not like Barry Bonds, like teams didn't figure him out. He just figured them out. And then eventually it got to a point where it was like, dude, walk on with bases loaded. Yeah. If you want to get there, it takes the work. And I'm not saying Jazz is like lazy. Jazz is a very, very, very hard worker, and he loves baseball and he wants to be good at it. I truly believe that. And I am rooting for him like wholeheartedly to do it, but he has to get going. He has to get going. And it's one of those things where it's not right. And you never construct a team around one hitter, right?
Mm.
And Luis Arias has helped take a lot of pressure off of other guys.
Yep.
But this team offensively will only go as far as guys like Luis Arias and Chisholm Jr. take it. They are the straw that stirs the drink in this offense. Jorge Soler's home runs are very pretty, but if there's no one on base to knock them in, it doesn't really matter. So Jazz has to get going. He knows it. This isn't anything. The reason why I speak so high on Jazz is because he holds himself to the same standard, right?
Yeah.
Like he knows he's a star. He's on the cover of the show. He's got Jordan sponsorships. He's a lightning rod for baseball. And baseball wants him to be great. He wants to be great. I want him to be great. Locked On Marlins wants him to be great. Alex wants him to be great. Even Danny, who is the biggest Jazz hater I know on Twitter, and he's said it himself. Even he has said today, I need to be wrong about Jazz, please. So like the whole Twitter thing, like when he gets on Twitter and he goes back and forth with fans, I don't mind it because I've spoken to Jazz like on the side through DMs very, very rarely, just a couple times. And he's told me, like, I just like bantering. I like having fun. And that's what it is. Like, he's not out there maliciously trying to like get fans to hate him. Like, he's just trying to have fun, and that's what I love about him. He has fun playing the game.
Yeah.
Even when he's 0 for 4 with the strikeout, you'll still see him with a bright smile up there in center field, making a great catch. And that is what eventually, when he does get that bat going, which he needs to, you'll start to love him again. The fans that don't like him will be like, there's that smile, there's that face, there's those home runs, there's that speed, there's that defense, But part of being a star is, taking the lumps and taking the slander that you're going to get when you're not performing. When Ronald Acuna's OPS drops below 800, I'm going to be on Twitter calling him a bum. Like that's just the nature of the beast. That's the nature of fandom in sports. Look at our boy Miggy Rowe in Los Angeles. You think he's having fun with that fan base? He wasn't having fun with us. So I'm sure he's not doing great over there.
No.
So
he's not on Twitter anymore. He's deactivated as well, right?
He's deactivated, and I love Jazz, and I have all the confidence in the world for him to turn it around. But the work has to be put in, the adjustments have to be made, and I have confidence in him. I do, and I'm not I'm not giving up on this kid. I know he has his stuff. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at on it. I love him, but he has been objectively with the bat very, very bad, and it is causing damage to the team the same way Segura is, and the same way all the other guys who are bums are causing damage to the team.
I must say, at one point, you make a great point around the bunts and the randomness of the bunts this year. It's been one of my favorite things about Jazz this year, which just does show you that he is thinking at times.
Yes, it's not like he doesn't care. He does.
No, exactly. He is thinking about it. Like he's trying to make some adjustments, do things differently, whatever. At one point, I was almost going to have to change the 40-40 tracker to include bunts. It might have to be 40-40-40 tracker. He was going to be dropping down 40 bunts. Who knows? But for Jazz, I think the encouraging thing for me is the relationship he struck up, I think, with Luis Arias, I think is important.
Yeah.
And I think those guys spending a ton of time together is only going to be a good thing. I think for both of them, to be honest. And so I can see Jazz certainly finding a way. One guy that seemingly has found a way, and for me is the most hysterical baseball player out there, and I think you agree. Jesus Sanchez. I mean, the only word it's not the only word, but it's one of the words in my mind at this point, is enigma. He is an enigma, Jesus Sanchez. But all of a sudden, after walking the DFA tightrope seemingly very, very close to the end, all of a sudden, he's flipped the script, and Jesus Sanchez, he's looking like a stud in right field all of a sudden. Avisel Garcia goes down. The opportunity presents itself to Jesus Sanchez. And for me, he's really taken it, mate. And there's not one player that I'm enjoying going on a hot streak more than Jesus Sanchez, because he's just hilarious, to be honest, mate. But what about you on Jesus Sanchez at this point?
He is. Want to know a funny little story, Pete? It's not even a story. It's just like a fun fact. I have a jersey with my last name on it, one of those nice blue, like spring training jerseys.
Yeah.
And on my left shoulder, I have an autograph from Jazz Chisholm. And on my right shoulder, I have an autograph from Jesus Sanchez himself.
Oh, baby.
Our savior. It's the funniest jersey I own because it's like one of these guys could end up sucking, and it's like I hope both of them end up really good.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where it's all about seizing your opportunity, right? That's what baseball is. And at the end of the day, you're gonna get called up, and it's about seizing that opportunity and proving yourself. Jesus Sanchez was, like you said, he was walking the DFA rope. He was very close to like just being off this team forever.
Yep.
Obviously, he goes down, and he has seized this opportunity, and he's made adjustments.
Yeah.
He's made adjustments. Like he still swings out of his shoes, which you're kind of expecting, but
he does.
Like, the other day there was an at-bat there, and I think it's the perfect at-bat that like encapsulates everything that Jesus Sanchez is. In that Cubs game, he had like a 400 pitch at-bat in extra innings.
I remember it.
Where he was getting meatballs down the middle of the just hanging sliders, changeups, fastballs, like batting practice pitches that should have been hit. It should have hit the fans that sit on their stupid little apartments in Wrigley. It should have gone that far. And he was just fouling them off like if he was seeing like a Frisbee. And then he hits a beautiful triple down the right field line or a double. And I'm like, I don't know what to make of this guy. He can't hit a meatball, but then he gets that pitch and he turns on it. And then look, yesterday, he had against Zach Gallen, who's like a Cy Young favorite. He hit a 114-mile-per-hour double left center field, opposite field. Like, I was like, what am I watching? What are you? What are you doing? And then you see him slide into Zach, and he pops up, and he's like, and he's like smiling. And I'm like, Jesus, what are you doing? Are you a good baseball player or not? Stop messing with me. But at the same time, that's why I love him. That's why he is unironically the funniest baseball player I've ever seen with my own two eyes. Because he will foul a pitch off, and his helmet will fly into the other team's dugout, and he'll look at the camera like, whoa, what was that? And it's like he knows where the cameras are. He knows how to be funny. And when I met him at spring training, I spoke to him in Spanish. I asked him how he's liking Miami, and he was the most soft-spoken. He was like, see, man, look at Miami. And now he's over there, and he's doing cartwheels on the field, and he's this funny dude. I love him. When the team is not entertaining the way the Marlins have been, I'm all for having a guy like Jesus Sanchez who look, he's playing real well, and he's taking advantage of his opportunity, and he's funny, And his counterpart, Brian De La Cruz, who again has gotten a tremendous opportunity, and he's not making the best of it this year. He had a streak there where I was like, we may have to have a serious conversation about De La Cruz as like a extension candidate. Yeah. And the past like 3 weeks, he's just been garbage. And it's this thing with De La Cruz where he cannot put together a consistently good season. I'm going to be so frustrated when there's going to be a month there where we like bench him or option him or something. And then towards the end of the year, he's going to have a month where he lights the world on fire, and we're going to be here, like, what are you doing? It's the same thing like Brian Anderson, where it's like, are you good or are you not, man? Make up your mind. I need to know. Yeah. So Jesus Sanchez, like, shout out Mario, my good friend Mario, who is the captain of the GZ Sanchez, like MVP train, his best friend, his favorite player in the world. He deserves all the credit for the GZ nickname. But he's been great. He has he looks more dialed in at the plate. He'll have an at bat where he like looks dumb, but for the most part, he's barreling balls and he's like going the other way. He's using all parts of the field. Like, dude, he has a cannon in the outfield too.
He does.
Like I'm all for letting him ride this wave. I'm done. I'm not gonna jump to conclusions of extensions and all this. But Avisaíl Garcia is injured. Jesus Sanchez has stepped up, and he's played real well. Let him make the most of his opportunity, and we'll see where it takes us. Kind of like how Jazz has struggled. We're going to let Jazz ride out this year. We're going to let Jazz get his bearings right, and he's going to get back to what he does. And we got to hope Jesus Sanchez continues at this rate. And let's see what happens at the end of the season. I promise that I am not going to tweet extend Jesus Sanchez. I promise I'm not going to do it.
Nailed on. Nailed on. There'll be multiple tweets suggesting a Jesus Sanchez extension. Nailed on. We're looking for the Wander Franco extension of Jesus Sanchez.
Might as well lock him up cheap. Let's give him the Aussie Albies 7 years, $37 million while we're here.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's lock him up. Feels like he should be a part of the team for a long time. Couple of quick fire ones for you, and then we'll roll out of here. Right now, Who's your favorite Marlin on the roster right now?
Favorite Marlin on the roster? That's a tough one.
Mm.
I always love rooting for my Cuban players, right? And right now I'm really liking Yuli Uriel, just because like he's a consistent hitter. He's kind of like what I expected Jean Segura to kind of be, you know?
Yeah,
But
good
he's
show.
not my favorite. I always go back to Sandy because like Sandy is everything I want in a star player. You know, like I talk about Jazz and like being a lightning rod and being very electric and everything he does, and you need that. But Sandy is like he struggled. We all know it.
Yeah.
And when you're a fan, right, and you watch a bad team or you watch a player that's struggling and you're there on your couch and you're just mad, right? Nothing is more frustrating than seeing a player that doesn't care.
Yeah.
Right? And Sandy is the complete opposite. There isn't a player, I think, in all of baseball that cares more than Sandy Aganda. Like he's been struggling and he is pissed about it. And that as a fan makes me like not in a sick way, but happy. I know that this guy cares as much as I do. You know, like he's there after he gets taken out of a game that he struggles. He goes into the clubhouse and I know he's smashing shit and he's pissed and he wants to get right. And as a fan, that like comforts me. Like that's why I'm not like panicking about him. And look, he just came off a great start. You know, yeah, he gave it 2 runs in that 9th, and there was a lot of talk about should Schumacher have taken him out and all that. But he's my favorite Marlin because of that. Because he has the talent, he has the mentality, he backs it up, and he wants to be better. Like he genuinely is upset with the way he's been pitching, and that as a fan, it's like okay, he cares, and I'm not worried about him because I know that he's putting in the work and he's beating himself up over it the same way me as a fan. I'm like, man, I need Sandy to get right. Like he cares, and that alone, his mentality, his talent, everything. He's my favorite Marlin through and through. Like it'll take a lot for me to not love Sandy.
He's the horse, baby.
And we look alike.
You do look alike.
Me and him are twinsies. You know, like we're brothers in arms.
He agreed, if I recall.
Yes,
I mean,
he didn't disagree. That's for damn sure.
No, he didn't say no.
He laughed.
You know,
we have the same laugh too.
Exactly. There you go. Brothers, no doubt. Who's your least favorite Marlin at this point?
Oh God, damn, Pete. That's a tough one. I could do a list, but I'll just go with one, huh? Least favorite Marlin. Avisario Garcia is the easy answer.
I know you won't take the easy one.
I won't take the easy one. You know that.
You never do.
I got a funny one. I go with the funny one. And I don't hate this person. It's just least favorite. And it's because he's playing well, Pete.
Oh.
It's because he's playing well. It's Garrett Hampson. He is not supposed to be playing well.
He's playing well.
He's not supposed to be playing good, Pete. That doesn't make sense. The guy stinks, and the guy is playing good, and I hate him for that. Yeah. Great guy. I'm sure he's a great guy, and I love him because he's a good person. But, dude, go back to sucking at baseball, all right? That's what you do, all right? You're not supposed to be tricking me into thinking you're a good baseball player. You know what I mean? There's nothing worse than a guy who cosplays or he's an imposter as a major leaguer, and that's what Garrett Hampson's doing right now. The guy is playing not just like John Birdie good, where he's like, oh, he's fast, he plays good defense, oh, he gets the occasional hit. No, like he's playing good. Like he's playing good baseball.
He is.
And to the point where like I want to tell myself, like, I can't believe we're 40 games into the season and Garrett Hampson is starting every day, but he actually is like deserving of the playing time he's getting. Yeah. And he's eventually going to fall off a cliff, I think. But like, dude, stop teasing me into thinking you're a good baseball player.
Yeah. Well, the Marlins think so too. He's playing out there in right field. He's got.
They love him. They love
corner
him. They've
been
loving him. They were talking about him in spring training. They were already easing us into it. They knew that he was going to be this. Like it's whatever. If I wanted to go with another option, Jean Segura. I mean, goddamn it, tie him to a rocket, send him to the sun. The guy stinks. But you know what I mean. Like, and that's too easy as well. Like I could go if I wanted to pick my least favorite. Really, I would just go to OPS, sort it from lowest to highest, and just pick the top 3 there. But you know, that's never fun. You know, I always like to go the untraveled route.
I know. Garrett Hampson, too good.
Yes.
We haven't had time to get into Johnny Cueto because again, that's another just embarrassment this year. I don't know what's gone on with Cueto. Like he came in heavy, he's rolled his ankle now because he's too heavy, and you know he's pitching an inning. I'm not convinced he's going to pitch more than an inning for the Marlins. To be honest with you, I think it's going to be one and done, and that's one inning. But I don't think we got time. Are the Marlins going to be a playoff team this year, mate? After what we've seen, they need the big bat. They need CJ Crone. We know it, but are they a playoff team at this point?
I'll be objective here. No, they're not. They're not going to be a playoff team. The hope at this point is that they show something to build on going into next year. That's what I really hope happens. I hope that like Alex has brought it up a lot, and Alex, as much as I make fun of him and he's a dork and he's dumb and he has bad taste in amusement parks and all that, he does know baseball. I do believe that. And he's talked about like the rebuild. He's talked about where are we dealing Sandy here? Like what's going on? Because and we all know that we don't want to head down that route, but if they're not careful and they don't play well, I'm not even saying play great. I'm saying play well. Give us something to build upon. We could be headed in that direction. Now, this is a pivotal point in this rebuild. I say rebuild because it's not even a rebuild anymore. And that's on every level of the Marlins system. How guys like Eldy Perez play, how Jake Eder comes back from injury, how Yidi Gape plays, how Victor Mesa Jr. develops. Every single one of those things matters, because if the prospects don't play well and the major league team doesn't play well, you're just not a good organization, and it's time to kind of start from the beginning.
Yeah.
The next 2 months till that deadline are a very, very crucial point in how this team operates moving forward. So they're not a playoff team. Can you be a team, though, where you are legitimately a bat away from contention? That's what needs to be answered by the deadline, and I hope it gets answered. And just because I want to talk about it real quick, Johnny Cueto, Jesus Christ, dude. I know I'm not supposed to curse here. He's such a fat ass. Dude, I mean, like, what are we doing here? And we talk about opportunity. Shout out Braxton Garrett for taking advantage of the opportunity. Dude's been awesome. I know his ERA is like 8,000 because of that one start where Skip Schumacher put him out there like Japanese torture to just get like whooped all over the field. But we all know he's been pretty good, and he's filled in that role excellently. I even think I don't even think it's like a hot take anymore. He's been better than Trevor Rogers over his last like 30 starts. So, I mean, Braxton Garrett, shout out to him for someone who was written off as a prospect who's taken advantage of that opportunity. I love him as a fifth starter. I think he's the perfect fifth starter. He eats up innings, plays well, doesn't give up a ton of runs other than that one start. But shout out to him for taking advantage of that opportunity.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I absolutely love Brax, and I thought it was a curious situation starting him out the pen to start the year. It didn't make a ton of sense to me. And
yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure why they went down that path. But anyway, Cueto solved that problem pretty quickly with his one inning of work and whatever. And
the fact that he rolled over his ankle in his rehab start. I mean, it's just, I love this team. I really do. Like, they never fail to give me something to laugh at, and for that I'm forever grateful.
This is it. When you got the daily pod, brother, you need to be covering the Marlins.
You need the content.
You need it. You need it. If the Marlins are going to be at the deadline looking for that bat, they're going to be in the hunt. Let's take Luis Arias maybe out of this question, kind of excluding Arias. Who's going to be the Marlins MVP up to the deadline at this point to get this team where they're going to be buyers at the deadline?
To get this team, they're going to be buyers. It's got to be Jazz. It's got to be Jazz. If Jazz gets going, we've all seen what Jazz can do when he's playing at his peak. He's a legitimate top offensive weapon when he's at his peak. If Jazz gets to that form and Luis Arias continues hitting 600, you have something to win games. Like you can tread water till the deadline, especially with the schedule. The next 35 games are against like AAA teams. You know what I mean? But we're no better than a AAA team ourselves unless Jazz gets going. And I hate to put that much pressure on him alone, right? Because it could be someone else. It could be anyone that goes on a torrid stretch, but we know Jazz has it in him. You know, if Jazz can get going to that type of offensive production, and Luis Arias continues doing what he's doing, and Jorge Soler goes on one of his freakish 2-week spans where he's just mashing the ball, all of a sudden you have something where at the deadline, you're like, hey, well, let's get ourselves a controllable back here. We have something to build on. Yeah. So every single day, I'm like, I need Jazz to get going. And I think the moment he gets going, the entire outlook moving forward changes. Obviously, other guys have struggled, and I would love to see them. Jesus Luzardo, I'd love to see him to string together some really good starts. Sandy looks like he's slowly getting back on track, and I would love to see him string together some of those Cy Young caliber starts. But I'm not like completely out on this team. Like I get they've been struggling recently, but if we recorded this podcast like a week and a half ago, I would have been talking about how what size banner should we get for 2023?
Yeah.
Like it's,
as big as you can.
Exactly. Exactly. So, I'm not out. This span of games here coming up against really bad teams is very important. And they need to buckle in here. Jazz needs to get going. Sandy needs to get going. Luzardo needs to get going. If you're kind of like when Don Mattingly says the big boys got to go, it's kind of like that with your best players. Jazz, Sandy, Luzardo, they got to be your best players, and they got to show it. So that's what we need.
Makes a ton of sense, mate. I'm with you on that. I mean, the reality is the 40-40 tracker, I haven't touched it for over a week. The Marlins have been really struggling. Coop's been on the IL. Avi went on the IL. I don't think that's particularly a bad thing, but Coop IL, no production from Jazz. Luzardo's had a couple of sticky starts. Like the big boys, they're either hurt or not quite firing on all cylinders right at this point. And I think you're right. Those are the key names. Sandy, can Jesus Luzardo deliver ace-like production from the two spot, let's say? Can Jazz in the leadoff spot continue with that glove, but get the stick really, really going just to support Arias? And can Coop get back and do Coop things? Because Coop's, he's had a nice year and he's underrated, Coop, and he does a nice little job there, I think, sandwiched in between those lefties. So, and can Sorare continue? I think if you can get those top four all rolling, I think it all stems from them. And there's enough run production between those four, plus the starters and the bullpen. Mate, this is a stunner, right? We have never, ever done an episode together, and we've probably done 10 or 15 over the years. I don't know how many, 10 or 15.
We've done a lot.
We've done a lot. We haven't even had to get into the bullpen and slander anyone. I mean, we haven't even had to talk about Chichi Gonzalez today. That's just how good this bullpen's been. That's how good it's been that we haven't had to slander anyone from the pen. That's been a lot of fun. A lot of fun. We are long, but it was expected. I told Takes we'd go 30 minutes. We're 42 minutes in.
We always try.
Stunning. The Marlins are playing this evening. We barely talked about any current affairs, but we had to do a recap. But the Marlins are playing this evening, and it's game 2 against the Diamondbacks. And that game starts at 9:40 Eastern. And you can watch every pitch of the Marlins. You can catch every pitch of the Marlins hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. So get it there. Of course, Jesus Luzardo going against the rookie, Fat, I believe. I don't know how you pronounce his name, but either way, he had his first start last week, got blown up.
Johnny Cueto.
Yeah, Cueto's pitching for the Diamondbacks, so we can see how we go. I think Marlins are primed for a dub this evening. Kenny, that's been a lot of fun, brother. Thanks so much for joining me, and thanks for everyone making Locked On Marlins your first listen of the day. I hope that you get this episode pre-game, and you enjoy this as your amuse-bouche, let's say, before the real action starts, and a Jazz Chisholm Jr. hot streak with a Jesus Luzardo 7+ inning start. It would be wild to see. We'd love to see it. I'll see you tomorrow, guys. Thanks for joining, and see you tomorrow.